بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين 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 أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله نستغفر الله نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله نستغفر الله نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله نستغفر الله نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair for joining us, inshallah ta'ala, for what is it now, morning number 3? Is it already? Subhanallah, yes. Morning number 3 of our Ramadan and Ramadan meditation and reflection series. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll be continuing with our lessons. Our lessons on transformative character, inshallah ta'ala, in light of the prophetic sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as was dictated by one of our teachers, Sayyidina Habib Umar Bin Hafiz, Hafidullah ta'ala. And inshallah ta'ala, today is going to be a discussion on patience. Today is going to be a discussion on patience. And really, what we'll be talking about really is the greatness of patience. And patience, as-sabr, is something that Allah Azza wa Jal, so many times in the Quran, innumerable amount of verses, exhorted us towards, advised us towards, informed us that those who are patient are those whom He loves. Those who are patient are the foremost. Those who are patient are the ones that have success and succeed in this life and in the next life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says so many times, Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salat, that we should seek assistance with patience and prayer. And He subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, how many times in the Quran, Inna Allah yuhibbu sabirin, that Allah, verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who are patient. And so really it's from the greatness of this religion, the greatness of life, the greatness of one who seeks that path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that one of the first things that they should do when they're seeking to transform their character and improve their character and become meld within the light of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that they can take some portions from his noble and blessed his perfectly imperfect human character and inculcate and beautify their own personality with it, so that they become better versions of themselves, not a replacement of themselves, but better versions of ourselves. That one of the first things that we need to do is learn the meanings of patience and adopt those qualities, inshallah ta'ala, even if we're not naturally patient people. Wallahu musta'an. Wallahu musta'an. And so the author begins by stating, the attribute of patience, as-sabr, is one of the most important character traits which the prophets nurtured in their disciples. Reminds me of the verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا, and have a beautiful patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that sabr is something that needs to be beautiful. And we're commanded to have a beautiful type of patience, not just one we're clenching our teeth in, no, a beautiful type of patience. One that shows the serenity that comes with faith, that comes with belief. And the author continues to write, Allah adorned them with patience so that they would be an example to others, and He praises those who are patient. He says in his book, in reference to the Prophet Ayub, Job, alayhi salam, we indeed find him patient. How excellent a slave. He was ever turning in repentance to his Lord. He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, also says, truly those who endure with patience will be rewarded without measure, and he who is patient and forgiving, that truly is an affair that requires great resolve. And what we see in the example of Sayyidina Ayub alayhi salam, right, with him alayhi salam being struck down with terrible sickness and terrible disease alayhi salam, and having to lie within his bed for how many years, and how many people had turned away from him as a result alayhi salam. But yet through it all, he showed a beautiful patience. وَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا. He displayed a beautiful type of patience. And it was such that it elevated him in ranks with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And surely patience, when we talk about patience, is not just patience in times of difficulty, but patience at all times. And patience is something that's required us at all times. And really that patience is something that tests why it's so magnanimous in the sight of God, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is because it really tests our reliance upon Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. It really tests our faith, the applicability of our faith. The faith is something that requires a leap at times, a leap into the unknown. And when we're patient with whether it's trials, tribulations, or good fortune, or whatever it may be, that it's something that requires for us to kind of delay that instant gratification, delay that instant knowledge, delay our ability to experience something in the immediate, because we know that its good favor is going to be coming, inshallah ta'ala. So long as we remain patient, so long as we endure. Right? And so it tests our faith, it tests our reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our tawakkul. Right? And really, we're just putting our affairs into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. Right? That's what patience really is all about. It's an expression of all of these things. No, we're just waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to manifest His jalal, to manifest His will at that moment, and for us to maximize at that moment in which He subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to express or decides to manifest it. And so that way we can learn and take hold and then proceed forward from there. Right? We don't take things into our own hands. We wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide for us, and for us to recognize when that is being provided to us, so that way we can take. And His Prophet, the chosen one, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mentioned the reward of patience when mentioning the virtues of the month of Ramadan. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith that it is the month of patience, and paradise is the reward of the patient. Right? So further exhorting us, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on what it means to be patient. And especially during this month of Ramadan, right? We're all engaging within the practice of fasting. Throughout the entirety of our days, we're literally being patient with ourselves. We're delaying the instant gratification of food and drink, of nourishment and other desires and fulfillment of other desires. We're delaying that instant gratification. We're delaying the instant gratification of, oh, hold up, let me actually bite my tongue here and not reply back in a harsh way. Oh, you know what? Let me actually take a break from Instagram, from Facebook for a little bit. You know, that might not be right for me to engage right now. Let me take a break. Let me not instantly gratify myself. Right? Patience is all about slowing down that instant gratification. And Jannah is what lasts forever. It's not given us to us now in this life. We have to be patient, right? Even though the time of this life in comparison with the hereafter is obviously nothing. But it's something that we have to be patient for. And that's the reward for those who are patient, who are expectant of reward from their Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah confirmed this in His book, describing the people of paradise. The angels enter upon them from every gateway, saying, "Peace be upon you for what you were born with patience." How excellent is the final abode. And subhanAllah, even if the life of this world, our temporary existence, our ephemeral world, is like a part of a day or a day in comparison with the hereafter, in comparison for eternity, still at the end of the day, there still is some blessing in the patience that we're displaying in this world. And it's something that the angels, alayhi salam, that they're going to recognize from amongst us, and why we're going to be amongst the people of Jannah, inshallah ta'ala, ameen. That just to wait and to pause and realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is molding everything before us, that He's creating everything before us, that He's manifesting His divine will at every single direction, in every single place that we turn, and in every single time that we are. If we just take a moment not just a moment, but continuously just step back as much as we possibly can. And we'll find that the beauty of life, the beauty of existing, the beauty of believing, the beauty of faith really manifests itself. As we know that from prophetic narrations that purification is half of faith. And in another narration, the narration continues on and states that, and patience is half of purity. Meaning that patience is something that is essentially a quarter of our faith. And patience is a quarter of our faith. And patience, and we're experiencing that in this month of Ramadan, so it's to say that fasting is a quarter of our faith in a sense as well. And so as we're going about this month, know that we're completing something that could be a quarter of our faith. And so this idea of patience is something that's huge, and is a huge part of our lives and about transforming our character that is beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so how do we obtain it? That's really what we want to try to hone in right now, and that's what the author continues to move through. And so he mentions patience can be defined as compelling the lower self to endure hardships and loathsome things. It is also compelling the lower self to forsake things which it holds dear and is accustomed to, which are not in its best interests. These things may lead to its destruction and cause it to miss out on great good. Patience in this sense is one of the forces of the intellect. It causes people to deal justly with one another. What is the intellect? Is it just our memorization of books? Is it just our ability to eloquently articulate? Is it our ability to solve technological and mathematical problems? True intelligence, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned so many times in the Quran, that the signs of the people of intelligence are those that ponder over the creation. That they ponder over the creation of the world. What is ma fi sama wa ma fil ard? What is within the heavens and what is within the earth? And that intelligence, as the individual ponders, it causes them to recognize the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we recognize the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we inhibit ourselves from our own selves. We inhibit ourselves from transgression. We inhibit ourselves from falling into our lower selves and pursuing the more lower pursuits of our human nature. And so the sign of an intelligent person isn't what we're normally accustomed to intelligence. The sign of an intelligent person within the religion, within Islam, within life, is really one that holds back, one that can inhibit themselves. That super ego balancing between the ego and the id. That force that we have, that we could act upon something, we could pursue something, but we know that that something isn't good for us, or that something would be harmful for us, or that something doesn't lead to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the intelligent one is one who can stop him or herself from that, from engaging within that pursuit. They then avoid seeking to uphold people to deal justly with one another. They then avoid seeking to uphold their own rights, which is one of the attributes of human perfection. Patience, in this sense, is a foundation upon which the realities of faith in the most merciful and conviction in the message of his Prophet ﷺ may be built. And this is a matter that's extremely weighty. That when we inhibit ourselves and we hold back, this becomes an expression of now taqwa. And so when we're utilizing our faculty of the intellect and inhibiting ourselves and showing patience against falling into error, now we're starting to enter into the realm of taqwa, of piety, righteousness, God consciousness, God heartfulness. That taqwa is obviously the end result of what we want to obtain through Ramadan and really through the entirety of our lives. وَعَاقِبَةٌ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ وَعَاقِبَةٌ لِلتَّقْوَى, right? But human perfection, the human becomes perfect when they try to have that consciousness, when they try to have that heartfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so utilizing our intellect and it becoming an expression of patience, now we start to feed into changing ourselves and changing our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and becoming more aware of what He desires from us in a specific moment, more conscious of what we need to do in any specific moment. As the definition of taqwa is one who dawns upon the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stays away from His prohibitions, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when we're staying away from the prohibitions and we're showing patience against them, now we're starting to get it. Now we're starting to become intelligent. Now we're starting to see clearly. Now we're starting to really start to express the qualities of the people of taqwa, of the people of paradise, of the people of consciousness, of the people of heartfulness, and people of connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he continues to say, one type of patience is displayed in confronting the hardship of performing duties which are either obligatory or recommended. And so now, inshallah ta'ala, the author starts to discuss 2 or 3 types of patience. Okay? 2 or 3 types of patience. And so performing duties which are either obligatory or recommended, and which contain numerous benefits in this life and the hereafter. It is often termed patience in obedience, or sabr ala ta'at, meaning perfecting and being consistent in performing acts of obedience. And so that's one of the aspects of taqwa, as we just mentioned. That the definition of taqwa comprises of imtithal awamirihi, that we dawn upon, or we try to exemplify the characteristics as within the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What? Tarku ma nawahi, and leaving that which He has prohibited from us. And so when we start to then actually try to take upon what we need to obey and listen to from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we pray on time as He's commanded us, we fast as He's commanded us, we exhibit patience as He's commanded us, we exhibit good opinion of the Muslims and of people as He's commanded us, and we try to exhibit all of these things. That having patience in trying to maintain consistency, that this is the type of patience. This is one type of patience. That maintaining consistency, maintaining that consistent practice each and every day, each and every single hour, whatever it may be, consistently trying to perform our prayers on time, that's something that comes from a form of patience, because we have to constantly try to rein ourselves in. We're at work, what have you, we have to try to organize our time. We have to be patient with ourselves and try to make sure, okay, no, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to inhibit myself from engaging in this practice, so that way I can pray. I'm going to inhibit myself from actually, completing this report right now. Let me pray first, and then I'm going to complete my report. Or let me stop myself from my studies real quick, or let me stop myself from continuing on with my show. Let me go pray. Let me go fulfill this amana, fulfill this trust. Let me go do this real quick first. And let me maintain consistency upon that. When we maintain consistency upon actions, this becomes an expression of patience. And this is the type of patience. As-sabr ala ta'at. And so another type of patience, the second type of patience, concerns things that the lower self desires, but which the intellect perceives as harmful, since it realizes that the end result of such things is disgrace and tribulation. The self thus exerts patience in abstaining from these things, even though its cravings may remain. So even if we're feeling it, I really, really don't want to lower my gaze right now. I really, really, really want to go watch this R-rated movie. I really, really, really want to listen to these curse words and this music. Or I really might have that desire to really want to do something, but you stop. That becomes an expression of patience. Or as-sabr ala ma'asi, patience against sin or transgressions. Right? Or patience in the face of disobedience, as the author puts it. This is known as patience in the face of disobedience. And so we have the second half of taqwa, that we're leaving the disgraceful actions. Actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited. And so having patience with ourselves with that, and trying to hone in our desires in our lower selves, and trying to pursue that which is better for us, and stopping against sin, stopping against transgression, that becomes a form of patience as well. Not just performing obedient actions and doing the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, but leaving those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes and hates for us. Even if we have the desire to do so, even if we're feeling it in our gut, even if we're just, our blood is boiling and we're about to shout and curse at the person or whatever it is like that, that we stop from cursing at them, even though we know they deserve it. We stop ourselves. We stop ourselves. Such patience leads to a person to abandon many things that are not permissible. Such patience leads a person to abandon many things that are not impermissible, and even things that are not deemed offensive by the sacred law, meaning that when we start to get in the habit of staying away from the things that are in the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, staying away from the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes and hates, when we start to get in that habit, we start to then get into a habit of leaving things that neither benefit nor harm. It's almost kind of just a waste of time, such as maybe just kind of idly scrolling on our phones. We just start to leave it because it just becomes distasteful for us. It's not permissible or impermissible. It's not necessarily impermissible in sacred law. It's not offensive within our sacred law, within the Sharia. However, we start to find it, you know what, this isn't the best use of my time. Let me stay away from it. When we get into the habit of keeping ourselves away from transgressing against others through our words and our actions, or transgressing against ourselves with our own internal sins, our own internal feelings, then we start to get to a point, when you get into the habit, then you start to want to do more that's within the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and express that type of patience with maintaining consistency in ibadah. And so then we start to stay away from the things that waste our time, that is neither ibadah or against ibadah, or that is disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And this occurs when the intellect judges that indulgence in such a thing would be bereft of any benefit, or would prevent the attainment of a lofty rank or some good in this world or the next. And so here we really start to see some type of change. This is where we start to see change. This is where we start to see change. It doesn't take away our inherent personality characteristics, increasing in patience in this manner. But no, once we start to inhibit the pursuits of our lower selves, and we refine ourselves by stopping engaging in transgression and sin as much as we possibly can, we lower our gaze a little bit better. We stop cursing out in public or in front of others. We stop watching maybe R-rated movies and such like that. Or we actually start to, treat our family members, our spouses, and our children with kindness as opposed to rude and abusive speech. We start to keep ourselves away from and inhibit ourselves from transgressing against the rights of Allah and the rights of the creation of Allah. And then we start to notice a change in those things like watching the football game, or just kind of idly listening to classical music maybe. Neither harms nor benefits or something like that. But we find it doesn't harm or benefit, and it's kind of, no, we want to do things that benefit. We start to see a change in ourselves, and we start to see the more beautiful aspects of our inherent personality start to manifest. And you start to say, oh, you know what? I actually kind of feel I could do another sunnah prayer. Let me do that. Instead of just going to, read this fictional novel that neither harms nor benefits. Let me just do a couple extra prayers, or read a little extra Quran. I kind of feel like Allah starts to put those signs within you to seek out the type of worship that He wants you to complete, that is inherent in your own personality, that makes it easy for you to get closer with Him, Azza wa Jal. Right? Then the author mentions the third type of patience. The third type of patience is manifested when believers suffer misfortune, such as we see with the example of Sayyidina Ayub alayhi salam, as we mentioned in the beginning. Sayyidina Ayub alayhi salam, misfortune. Through it, they are able to deal effectively with whatever events confront them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Give glad tidings to the patient, those who say when calamity afflicts them, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Upon such people will be blessings from their Lord and mercy, and such are the rightly guided." The ayat speaks for itself. The ayat speaks for itself. When we suffer any kind of misfortune, whether the misfortunes of what we're dealing with right now, with being quarantined in our homes, the various mental health difficulties that come as a result, and the various isolation difficulties that come as a result. Those that are stuck in their homes, that are actually stuck with abusive partners, and the rates of abuse have been increasing. When calamity strikes, we lose family members, we lose friends, we lose our jobs. Calamity strikes. To Allah we belong, and to Him we return. To Allah we belong, and to Him we return. And this is a sign of the patient, that when misfortune strikes, we have trust. We have reliance upon Allah. We have tawakkul. Maybe we're not happy-go-lucky, positive Hollywood. No. Maybe we're like, but we keep it in. We don't do anything that which displeases Allah. We don't curse at God. We don't question His will. We don't just keep it in. Even if we're angry, even if we're sad, even if we're confused in the moment, that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. It's not to say that you're walking around, oh yeah, everything's so. If you are that way, great. And if you're not, that's also great. The point is that when misfortune strikes, okay, you're putting it into perspective. We put it into perspective. And know that this is a manifestation of divine will. So let me stop from trying to seek the immediate emotional gratification of expressing myself exactly how I want to, even if it be a way that transgresses against myself, transgresses into sin. We have patience. We inhibit ourselves. We utilize our intellect and inhibit ourselves from following through the pursuits of our lower selves. We stop and we wait. And then we proceed and we act in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, in a way that is obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With regards to this verse, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh said, what an excellent pair, namely blessings from their Lord and mercy, and what an excellent bonus, guidance. Blessings, mercy, and guidance are all for those who are patient. And it's enough, it suffices the speech of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh. That all of those things come for the people of patience. All of those things come for the people of patience, for the people that strive to just wait. Take a step back, to hold on for a moment, not to immediately react. Not just to react, just wait. Pause. Feel the emotions, feel the anger, feel the sadness, feel the happiness, feel the elation, feel the whatever it is that you're feeling. Just keep it in. And keep your heart in perspective that this is an expression of divine will at the moment when misfortune strikes. And then we wait and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do in this situation, to learn from this situation, and go from there. Great, therefore, is the station of patience in the sight of Allah, and great, too, is the intelligent person's need for patience. We observe non-Muslims being patient when confronted with a multitude of difficulties in order to solve problems or to attain worldly objectives, but we believers are unable to exert patience as a means of attaining eternal felicity and warding off an infinite evil. Suffice to say that when we're patient with worldly matters, what does it say for us? That when it becomes our otherworldly matter, the ultimate matter, the only matter that actually matters, and how great that is. And we see the efforts and the patience of people in developing and creating more personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. And we see people that are expressing type of patience and coming with new innovative ways to try to fight against hunger across the world, or new innovative ways to try to give fresh, sustainable water to people in need, or to new innovative political methods in order to stop a lot of the issues and problems around the world, or what have you, or a lot of the issues and problems even that exist within the people's own households. We exhibit patience and a sense of deliberation and good decision making and waiting things out and seeing how life unfolds and seeing how things unfold. We exhibit all of those things when it comes to our worldly matters. We want to solve issues in our worldly matters. Well, what does it say when it comes to our ultimate issue in the hereafter, when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much should we go about exhibiting patience and waiting to deliberate and waiting to make the right decisions and not reacting based off of our lower selves, based off of our lowest pursuits of our human nature. What does it say when it relates to our standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how we need to be patient in maintaining consistency in His obedience, and also maintain a sense of patience in inhibiting ourselves from sin and inhibiting ourselves from transgressing? How much more important it is for us to transform those aspects of ourselves, just as we transform our entire lives. Look at how everybody's life has changed as a result of this quarantine. We've changed our lives dramatically and completely to take precautions and safety measures for our worldly benefit. It's fine. Now, how much do we need to change drastically for the safety and precaution of the benefit of our hereafter, the benefit of our standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the benefit of our forever that will determine our eternity, of whether we're from the denizens of paradise or the denizens of the fire, or iyadhu billah. The author completes with a dua: may Allah grant us continual patience such that it affords us unlimited reward, for truly He is the most generous. May He bestow His blessings upon His chosen one, the Master, the Patient, Muhammad, upon all his family and companions. All praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He inculcates within us this sense of patience, a sense of beautiful patience as He is described in His Quran, that He has commanded us within His Quran, wasbir sabran jamila, that we have a beautiful patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to continuously strive to exemplify within our character that which He loves, and to consistently perform deeds and actions that are within His obedience, and do so on a consistent basis, and that He gives us His enabling grace and His tawfiq and the success in order to inhibit ourselves away from transgression and away from sin and away from those things that which He doesn't love, and even so much even further from those things that are just a waste of our time, that neither harm us nor benefit us, that we use that time instead to pursue things that are within the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in the pleasure of You, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahimeen. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إن كنا من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إن كنا من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إن كنا من الظالمين. فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا يا أرحم الراحمين. واجعلنا من أهل الصابرين، من أهل الجنة يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اجعلنا من الصابرين، اللهم اجعلنا من الصابرين، اللهم اجعلنا من الصابرين المحبين إليك يا أرحم الراحمين، يا عزيز يا قويم، يا ودود يا ودود يا ودود. لا إله إلا أنت. إن من الشاهدين، إن من الشاهدين يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Everybody have a beautiful rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.